Yeah, we apologize for the audio challenge. Well, you're still watching Newdawn on Ogun State Television OGTV, and it's now time for the discussion segment of the program. As Nigeria tries to navigate her way out of economic recession, it appears that one of the moves to actualize this exit is the reopening of land borders. So, on this program, now we'll be reviewing the closure of land borders, how advantageous has this been for our economy, and looking forward, projecting now by the time the land borders are reopened, because the federal government is saying very soon it will be reopened. What does this also portend for our economy? So we have two gentlemen in the studio, and I'm starting with Dr. Akinwumi Alonge, who is the chairman of Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprises. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you. My pleasure being here. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Also, we have Mr. Abiodun Ogunjimi, who is the Secretary, Farmers Association of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning once again. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Alonge. Now, the federal government is saying that they want to reopen the land borders. Do you think that closing the land borders for over a year right now, do you think it has been able to achieve the reason why it was closed initially?
Well, candidly, I think there is no country that can survive with its border permanently closed to other nations of the world. There was a major reason why the federal government decided to take that option of closing the land borders, particularly because there were a lot of infringements that we were witnessing as far as our trade was concerned, because we discovered that a number of items, if you look at, there has been a number of items on our list that have been banned for importation as a nation. That of course went on for some time, and when it became very riotous, then the people were not complying, and because they were having collaborations from these other our neighbors, it becomes very necessary for the government to take that very stringent alternative to close the land border. Now that's been done. I think in the discourse, in the submission of the Mr. President himself, he said that our neighbors, that they have learned their lesson. And over the years also, over the period of time that we also closed this border, we also have learned our lesson. So now it is now time for us to go back and start having our normal business, and then to estimate what are the gains that we have recorded over this period of time. So that's why it is very necessary now that, okay, we want to assume that our lessons have been learned, and because of that, the major aim of closing the land border has been achieved. So it is now time to go back to normal business.
Okay. Mr. Abiodun, in your own opinion, do you truly believe that we have been able to achieve the reason why the borders were closed initially, and is it the right time to actually open up?
Thank you very much for that question. The government has the authority, and they came up with that policy of closing the border for certain reasons. Now that they are coming up again, that they want to reopen it, they must have done the necessary appraisal, dialogue, engagement with all the stakeholders before they arrive at that resolution to open it. So it's a welcome development.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Alunge, you said our neighbors have learned their lesson, but does it seem so, looking at the fact that it seems some products still found their way through illegal routes into the country, despite closure of land borders?
Yes, you see, the thing about intercontinental trade is that sometimes you have the organized and the unorganized sector of each economy. Now, if you are witnessing any influx of banned product finding its way into Nigeria, that cannot be as a result of our neighbors' government policies. Yes, all over the world, you have activities of economic sabotage, smugglers, who will always want to engage in one or two things. So of course, that if you are finding that, that only means that we need to strengthen our officials, that is the people that are security system architecture, in terms of monitoring and enforcement. That is one thing that we need to look into. But however, as a government, I mean for the government, for our neighbors, for the government of our neighbors, I'm sure they have learned their lesson, because they know how much they lost during the period that the border of Nigeria was closed. Because you see, let's not shy away from the fact that today, as of today, Nigeria economy remains the largest economy in Africa. And because of that, there is always that enticement for everybody to want to do trade with us as a nation. So if Nigerian economy remains the way it is, despite the recession, we still remain the largest economy in Africa. Everybody wants to trade with us. Everybody wants to bring in goods, and everybody wants to patronize us. Now, if that be the case, as of today, whatever that we are seeing from all our that are coming in as a smuggled item, that is not because the government of those nations support it. It is only an activities of some economic saboteurs, and then that means we need to strengthen the activities of the security agencies that are manning our borders.
Okay. Well, Mr. Gunjimi, a farmer, the federal government closed the land borders because it wanted to increase local production. So how beneficial has that been for you as a farmer?
Yeah, we really appreciate the government for taking that step, because we want to encourage agricultural development and growth in the country. I was at a radio program, that was last year, and I assured them that by the time our harvest came out, it's going to be at least enough for the domestic consumption, not to talk of export now. But unfortunately, we had drought, we had COVID-19, and also where we have enough cultivation, there was flood disaster. So our hope was seriously dashed, as towards a high expectation of bountiful harvest from our crops, especially rice, maize. We know what happened in Southwest. We had a very long period of August break. We are expecting that August break will start by August, but unfortunately, throughout the period of the month of July, we did not expect any rainfall. So the expectation was shattered, so it was not actualized. But the lesson I want us to just discuss about is how do we now encourage local production by way of mechanization. So I want to at least give to this government, the present administration of state, for coming up with Anchor Borers program. It's a very laudable initiative. It's a very welcome development. This is a promotion of value chain business development, whereby the producers, the off-takers, the marketers are involved in that transaction, and it really helps. Yes, whatever is going to achieve success must have its triple issues. We are encouraging the government to do more in the coming year, because we need to be sincere with ourselves. We are not praying for food insecurity or hunger in this country, but from the signals we are having now, it's not encouraging, and it's not hopeful for us to have what we can take to feed our populace. We understand and support me that on a daily basis we are giving back to children, but they need food. Our slogan is great farmers, great nation. No farmer, no nation. No food, no life. It's because you are welfare, that's why you are here to at least hear your views and opinion to people. If you are hungry, someone who goes to church and is hungry will never listen to Simon. So we, on the part of the farmers, we want to encourage this government to go at least a far distance in at least absorbing more farmers into Anchor Borers program. In addition, we want to applaud this government at the same time for constituting the board of OSAMCA, that is Ogun State Agricultural and Multipurpose Credit Agency. It's a very laudable development. This agency, we are personally appealing to the government to adequately fund them, so that they'll be able to reach to the farmers in large quantities, because the Anchor Borers program cannot absorb all. And it was introduced during the OGD administration, but we are now at least commending His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun MFR for this bold step that is taken towards at least bringing it back so that we'll be able to reach to farmers in order to encourage massive production. We need it very sincerely. We need it very sincerely. Thank you very much.
Okay, there. Mr. Alonge, you said something about doing business with our neighbors again. Do you think our neighbors will be happy about doing business? Do you think they are enthusiastic about doing business with us? Because remember that the Ghanaian president had complained initially that why do we have to close our borders? We are doing business. We call ourselves ECOWAS. There's a free trade agreement between all of us. Do you think they are enthusiastic about doing business with us again?
You see, just like when you have a strong economy, or when you have a domineering economy like the economy of Nigeria, because of our number, because of our size, you can imagine the population, what the consumption of this population. The neighbors that I said that they have learned their lesson. You see, they are the one who can tell you how impactful negatively that long closure of our border had on the economy. As a matter of fact, you see, the borders of Nigeria transcend beyond that of the southwest. You have the borders of the northeast and the northwest also. All these countries, they are very excited and they are looking forward to the day Nigeria is going to open its border, because most of their income will depend on the amount of trade interaction that they have with an economy like Nigeria. So they are very much excited. Most of the raw material they get from us, both the agro material and the other the chemical material, they come from our nation. And therefore, they are looking forward in order for them to spike up and then to increase their own production too. So I think that is one thing they are all looking forward to now.
Okay then, Mr. Oguyemi, Ogujimi, sorry, sorry about that. Looking at the present situation in Nigeria, high price of foods right now, and over time we have seen that when we eat in Nigeria, they are a lot cheaper. So if the borders are open up right now, won't that affect our own local production, since most people want to buy the imported ones, most especially rice? If you're getting rice from the neighboring countries, it's usually cheaper. So now if we open up the borders and they're able to come into the country right now, won't that affect our own local farmers? I mean, somebody like you, won't your own business be affected by that?
Yes. We can talk about that when we have enough to go around. You get what I'm saying now? We understand that before the border closure, we know how much we are buying rice there. And during this border closure, we know how much it goes for. So at least, and I've told you when I was doing my own discussion that we did not expect what we had, the issue of drought and the issue of flood disaster over there. So, and I said that we need to bring in food. There is not enough in this country. There is not enough. Because
so we need to expand our own local production.
There's
So
a need
the local
for
production
that.
right now is actually not enough.
Enough to take care,
satisfy
especially with the
okay.
disaster we have experienced.
Okay, so you think
It's
it is
really
right?
very, very devastating and very unfortunate.
But by the time we open our borders, won't this reduce the local production? If we couldn't increase the local production when the borders, currently when the borders are closed, by the time the borders are opened, won't it reduce the local
It's not that we
production?
did not increase the local production. I said we experienced disaster.
And the disaster affected the increase in local production.
Exactly. It really affected us because we are expecting harvest. Unfortunately, disaster came. So everything that was planted was washed away. And here in the southwest, we do not have rain. So there is a need for us to go beyond this welfare agricultural policy. There is a need for government immediate intervention into irrigation farming, so that will encourage all year-round farming. Will not be dependent on the rain is coming, rain is going. No, it will not be enough for us to take care of the complex.
Okay. Well, Dr. Lunge, many believe that closure of land borders was partly responsible for the economic recession. How true is this?
No, I think you see, it's not only in Nigeria that we have a recession. I think only very few countries in the world. The recession did not come because of the closure of the land border. As a matter of fact, you know that in the first quarter of the year, the government never projected that there was going to be coronavirus or that is COVID-19. And all of a sudden, we began to hear news of it between February, and then by March, it became a major issue all over the world. And then that, of course, had a lot of impact, particularly where a number of economy had to be shut down because in order to curb the spread of that COVID-19. So to tell you of the fact, our first experience as a result of the border closure was really pleasant. I was there at the early part of that closure, where we also commend the government, because that makes us to begin to look inward, and that of course increases our production even as a small and medium enterprises in this nation, because one of the things that you need to know is that before you can solve other people's problem, you need to solve your own domestic problem. Sure. And then of course that has helped us to look inward and to increase our productivity across board. A number of our entrepreneurs, they become very, very creative. And the government, of course, like he said, they also try to encourage through the different interventions. The only major challenge that we had during this period is that we were supposed to look more at industrialization, because our challenge is that we produce so many raw material from our country which we take out. Like for example, the issue of cassava exportation. Cassava, Nigeria as of today is one of the largest producer and exporter of cassava to the world. Now where we close our border and we want to generate revenue from our exports, then now that we have closed our border, it becomes very difficult for us to move those things out. Now the issue that I was having, the way I was having problem here is that I want Nigeria to move away from exporting raw material. Let us begin to also look at how we can leverage and begin to go through the value chain, where we now begin to export the products from this raw material. You see, we take out all these raw material, whatever they do with them, then we go and start looking for foreign exchange to buy those products back. That is where our problem is. That's where we are having imbalance, because we give out all the things that the world needs, and then they get it from us. They go there because they are well industrialized, and then they turn it into the finished product, and then we also now go out again to now buy it. So it's like you give out something, you give out a raw material that will produce something at you give it at 10 naira, and then they take it out, and then they produce whatever they want to produce with it. They will now go and buy it for 100 naira. So the 10 naira that you make from selling to them is not even sufficient for you to meet your own need for buying the finished product. So that is where the government also needs to strengthen. Now it is good enough that we have been able to close our border. That has opened our eyes. We have seen that, okay, so we can actually survive. We did. We survived the COVID-19 lockdown. We survived the border closure as a nation. That means we had a very strong economy, because a number of us had a lot of things to do as an alternative. You see, Nigerian economy is in two. You have the oil sector and the non-oil sector. So we agree. You can see what happened to the oil sector. A lot of problems here and there, inconsistencies in prices. So the government projections were failing, because in a situation where you were projecting that, okay, you'll be selling your oil for $45 dollars per barrel, and then the thing dropped as much as 30, drop as much as 25 dollar per barrel. What happens to you? Now that is for the oil sector. Now for the non-oil sector, you have all other sectors that had a lot of injection, and they had a lot of creativity to do with. So this, of course, has taught us a great lesson. So we have learned. But however, let us improve on the industrialization of our economy, so that we can also begin to export. Now we have closed our border. Raw materials is the major issue now. Now we can, so that we can begin to export finished products to the world.
Okay. Mr. Ogunjimi is saying that okay, we should begin to go through the value chain. But a lot of people will complain about the fact that cost of production in Nigeria is very expensive in order to produce all of these goods and services. What do you think that government needs to do in order to make cost of production in Nigeria more affordable?
Thank you very much. We are talking of oil subsidy. All the other sectors need subsidy. Agriculture needs subsidy. Mechanization is the way out to encourage agriculture. Because as I already identified, cost of economic production of agricultural crops are on a very high side that does not encourage massive production. So the government needs to at least start by way of clearing. You know, in the Ogun State we have forest, virgin land, and the farmers are not so financially viable or capable to embark on such a gigantic project. So you need the government intervention in the area of opening vast land, expanse of land for the farmers to encourage cluster farming, so that the payment could be spread for a period of like 5 years. Based on that is the area you can encourage value chain business development. We need subsidy in agriculture. The inputs should be subsidized. The chemicals, the fertilizers, the seed should be subsidized. We had the one government in the past that brought in growth enhancement support program, whereby a farmer will collect like 2 bags of fertilizer, pay one, pay for one, while the government pay for the rest. It's part of subsidy you're asking for.
So, Dr. Lunge, in your opinion, have we taken full advantage of this border closure?
No, definitely not. Well, we could have done that, but I think, like I said in my remark, the government never projected that there was going to be the COVID-19. Now we did not, the lockdown did not allow, because there was a seizure on our economy throughout the period of the lockdown. That is why as we are going through this second phase, this second spike, we pray that it doesn't lead to a major lockdown of the economies of the world again, because at that point we discover that there is going to be a slow pace of the economic growth. So if we have not taken advantage of it, it is not because it is deliberate, because the major actors were all ready. We were all excited about the experience of the border closure. However, because we had those challenges, we could not, because a number of government resources had to be diversified towards taking care of the impact of the COVID-19. So, and these are the same revenue that we would have used in terms of other development, but now we have to also mitigate against the impact of this COVID-19 on our economy, where you now have the survivor fund that government is now giving out to people. I'm sure that the survivor fund revenue was not projected for earlier on in the budget for the year, because at that time the government did not say that there was going to be a lockdown, there was going to be a COVID-19 that was going to ravage the whole world. So that is one of the reasons why we could not take full advantage of the border closure.
Okay. Well, earlier, Mr. Ogunjimi asked for subsidy, but it seems every sector, wants the survivor fund, or that was the subsidy.
The subsidy is the survivor fund, the subsidy.
Yeah, exactly. But from the government angle, how feasible is this? Now that the government is looking for ways to generate more income.
Yes, you see, one of the ways to generate more income is to also do a lot of investments. You cannot be thinking of, it's just like you have not invested in a business and you are expecting revenue, you are expecting returns. No, it cannot work. So in order for because the government is envisaging that, okay, this we had our border closed to our neighbor for a very long time. That was that was okay because we had reasons to. Now, the COVID-19 came in. Now, how do we now help this economy if we are going to get more money back into the system? So that is why the government came about the survivor fund. That is, we want the economy, the different sector of the economy to survive. So we will appreciate that because a number of MSMEs actually benefited from the survivor fund. That is, you have the taxi drivers, the Okada driver, the artisans, and the different sector of the economy who are enjoying that survivor fund. Of course, that is good. That is one of the ways, because it is what we give to them to make them to survive the impact of the negative impact of that COVID-19, that will also make them to stand on their feet to be able to meet the daily demand because of the impact that small and medium enterprise will have on any economy like Nigeria.
Okay, then, Mr. Ogujimi, we're talking about government helping the farmers in order to subsidize and all of that. But then some people argue that they prefer imported product because it's of high quality. What can the farmers do in order to increase the quality of what they are producing here? Because some people argue that, abroad, the quality is better, they do it better, or some of our own Nigerian manufacturers are not doing these things very well. It's not up to standard. Some people will complain about that. So what would be your own response to that?
Thank you very much. We are farmers. We are producers. And when we are talking of quality, maybe we are talking of branding and packaging.
Yes.
At our own local level, we talk about value chain, as I said. Our own responsibility is to produce. It's not left for the processor to offtake from us to add value. So the responsibility of a high quality, not meeting standards, it does not.
Because some people tell you that Nigerian rice, it's not as the quality is not up to the imported rice. A lot of people on the street are saying that. So I mean, is that not coming from the producers of from the farmers? Is that not coming from the farmers?
If you want to,
or the quality of the rice?
If you want to divorce your wife now, you see many uncomplimentary remarks about that. Some people are benefiting from that importation of rice. And they will do everything possible, legally or illegally, to encourage that business by way of propagating something that is not real. Rice all over the world is the same. We have various species, we have various varieties of rice in the whole world. You have Ofada, you have Faro 8, you have Faro 4, and so on and so forth. So our production is as good and as quality as any country.
Even not even better.
Because we are abundantly blessed. The land is okay for us, and the weather is also not unfavorable.
I think what's responsible.
Yes, but candidly, I think, like he said, people will always look for reason to engage in illegalities and other means of getting money. I think the Standard Organization of Nigeria, the NAFDAC, they are doing a great job. They are doing a great job. All our regulatory agencies, in terms of standardizing our products here. You see, the challenge, some of the things that we experience is that we fail to sometimes want to appreciate what we have. And then in talking of food security, you can be rest assured that our product can meet the standard all over. Our yam, for example, is still one of the best that they enjoy in America. Our rice is still one of the best that they enjoy. The Ofada rice is in high demand. So if somebody has any reason, what percentage are the people who complain about the standard of agro-allied products? Why does Nigeria remain the highest importer of cassava till today? That means the product is good. Now, we still remain one of the highest exporter of cocoa till today. Why? Because our cocoa is still one of the best in the world. We still remain one of the highest exporter of honey honey bee.
Yes.
Why? Because the quality that you get from our country still remain one of the best. You see, these are maybe in terms of packaging, like you said, in terms of the way it is being presented, maybe that is the only thing. But when you are talking of the content, and you are talking of the quality of what comes out from our country, I think Nigeria has one of the best products all over the world.
Because the other time you talked about the fact that we export these products and we buy them back at higher rates.
That is so industrial revolution, industrial development. That is where we want, as small and medium enterprise practitioner, our major challenge to the government is let us look at the way to increase industrial revolution, how we can increase the value chain process via the provision of basic amenities. Our problem has been majorly light, electricity. So that the more we have this, the more industrious we become, so that we can actually bring in the machinery that are required. So that when we bring in this machinery, then we can engage in the value chain aspect, so that we can reduce what we take out in terms of our raw material, so that we can at least bring out the finished product from it, so that we can get more revenue.
But what's your projection, quickly, the reopening of land borders, would that be enough to drive us out of economic recession solely?
The closure of the land border, and now we are talking of the reopening. The reopening is not because the economic recession is not because of the closure. I want to say that the recession came in as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes.
Because you talk of the, for example, the tourism industry that was not closed was badly affected. And you can imagine the contribution to the gross domestic product of the people who were engaged in tourism. Now, as at the time the economy was locked down because of the COVID-19, there could not be anybody traveling from Nigeria to any part of the world. And also, we could not take in anybody from other parts of the world. The airlines were badly affected. The hotels were affected.
Would the reopening help us out of recession?
So now, what I'm saying is that the air border was not closed. And they play a major role in our economy. But now it is only the land border that were closed. And as at the time, in the first quarter and the second quarter of our, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, our economy was doing well. We were not in a recession. And yet our border was closed, that the land borders were closed. Now the land border did not cause us the recession. However, it is also going to enhance our participation and our activity in order to contribute to the growth of our economy. That is one of the things. What I'm saying is that we are looking at the various, for recession, if you want to discuss the issue of recession, the opening of the land border only play part of the role towards moving us out of recession. But the recession was not orchestrated as a result of the closure of the land border. Because we had other sector of the economy that makes up the economy of the Nigeria that would always lead us out of recession. So this land border that we are going to reopen right now, that's about to be reopened, is only going to help us to strengthen our international relations, particularly when it comes to the free trade agreement that we have with other neighboring countries.
Okay, then. Lastly, I want to ask you, Mr. Winchini, do you think that the government should wait till we have vaccines because of COVID before we open our land borders? Do you think we should wait for the COVID vaccines to be in the country, or we could, begin to do business with our neighbors while we expect the vaccines to be rolled in?
I think the National Council for Disease Control is very effective, and they will come up with the policy that will at least make sure that we don't bring in COVID into this country. So I think they are working on that. Really, it is concluded, at least the issue of the border opening will come up.
Okay.
So, and before I go, please permit us to use this medium to felicitate and rejoice with our able governor, Mr. Dapo Abiodun Mefa, on the conferment of award of the best governor in agricultural growth and development in Nigeria. So we are indeed proud to be associated with general strides in agricultural development. We wish him more feathers in his cap. Once again, congratulations. Afan, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Alunge, your parting shot too. It may be in form of advice.
Well, in form of advice, now that the border, I think we should only improve on the quality of what we do as a nation now that the border is going to be closed, so that by improving on the quality of our product, that is going to enhance international patronage, which is going to also enhance our economy. I also want to encourage the Central Bank of Nigeria to also do more in terms of their injection towards encouraging of local production, so that can enhance our earning capacity as a nation. Thank you very much.
Agricultural revolution is the answer to economy section, because it's the Ministry of the Economy, and any country that regulates agriculture is going to suffer food insufficiency and lack of economic growth and development. So we are appealing to the government at all levels. Please encourage, strengthen your policies and programs on agricultural development and growth. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and God bless the state of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Okay, many thanks, Mr. Abiodun Ogunjimi, Secretary of Farmers Association of Nigeria, Ogun State Chapter, and also Dr. Akiwumi Alunge is the Chairman, Nigerian Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, also Ogun State Chapter. So many thanks for coming.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yes, we're not done yet. We'll be back shortly for another discussion. Please stay with us.